Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Karim. So, I've been thinking a lot about this concept of efficiency and how is it that some people are able to get so much more done in the same 24 hours than other people are. And I'll tell you this, I can't speak for other people, but I can tell you that one of my biggest secrets to efficiency is something that's so obvious, hidden in plain sight. So many people use it in so many different ways, and by the time I'm done explaining it to you all, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe it was that simple. That's how easy it is for you to become more efficient and faster. I'm going to share it with you and you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe it was that simple. But before I jump into the concept, I want to share a quick story that a friend shared with me once. He said that there was a monk who joined a group visitor trip to New York City and they were doing some sightseeing. And as the group, it was about 10 people, was being led by the tour guide, they got to a train station that was going to get them from one stop to the next stop and save them about 10 minutes before they got to their next attraction. So the group tour guide asked them, he was like, listen, we can take this walk. It'll take us about 25 minutes to get there. Or we can take this train and it'll get us there and we'll save about 10 minutes. And then we'll be able to continue on our journey. And so he asked everyone in the group, would you rather take the train or would you rather walk? And before he knew it, everyone said they would rather get on the train. So they get on the train, they get to the other side, the group tour guide pulls everyone up. And as he's starting to make his way to the next attraction, he sees that the monk has taken a seat on the bench. So he runs over to the monk and he says, hey, what are you doing? It's time for us to get to the next attraction. And the monk says, well, I thought you said that we saved 10 minutes. And so I was planning to sit here, enjoy the scenery, look at the buildings, look at the trees, and kind of just take a break. And he goes, oh, that's interesting. I thought we were going to get here sooner so we can continue our trip. And so I say all that to say, what is the purpose of the time that you're saving? And I think for a lot of us, it's pretty obvious. We want to spend more time with our family. Maybe we want to go on a trip somewhere and explore. Maybe we have a passion or a hobby that we're not able to take advantage of while we're at work and we want to spend the time doing that. And so there's a whole host of reasons why we might want to save time. But I would say start with that. Understand the intention. Because if you don't understand the intention or the why behind why you want to save the time, doing this really easy thing isn't going to make sense. So imagine you woke up and you went into the bathroom and you were supposed to brush your teeth in the morning, and you walk into the bathroom and you forget that you're looking for a toothbrush. So you're sitting there, you're thinking about what it is that you need to brush your teeth. And then you finally find the toothbrush. After you find the toothbrush, you sit there again wondering and thinking about what it is you need to do with this toothbrush in order to brush your teeth. And again, some time passes and then you eventually think, oh, I need to put toothpaste on the toothbrush. So you put your toothpaste on the toothbrush, and then again, you're sitting there thinking, well, what do I do next? And you're spending time just pondering what it is, hoping for some inspiration, that something is going to come to you and tell you this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So you run it under the water, you realize, okay, I need to run it under the water, and no shade to anyone who puts water on their brush before they put the toothpaste on, but much rather put a little bit of water on it after, but we'll let everyone pick their own working here. So you add the water, you then start to think about what it is you're supposed to do next, right? You came in here to brush your teeth, you found the toothbrush, you found the toothpaste, you put some water under it, and then you finally think, okay, I'm gonna now put this object in my mouth to brush my teeth. How does that feel? How does that sound? Well, the first time you probably went and brushed your teeth, it probably felt a lot like that. Today, it doesn't. You just sort of go in there, you put the toothpaste on, you find your toothbrush, you put it on, you throw the water under it, and then you start brushing your teeth. And what you've done there instinctively, without knowing, is you've created a habit or a routine. So my biggest secret to all of my efficiency at everything that I do is that I have routines that I've developed. Now, the way you develop a routine is by doing the same thing over and over again consistently. Some of us don't have routines because we're always trying to change it up in every single area of our life. But I'll tell you that in every single aspect, when I wake up, I have a routine. When I'm getting dressed, I have a routine. When I'm at work, right, and I'm leading meetings, I have a routine. Imagine if you walked into a meeting at work and there was no structure at all. You just brought a group of people together and you started thinking about what it is you all were going to talk about. And you just wasted time thinking about that. There's so many areas in our life where we waste time thinking when we shouldn't. And I'll tell you that the difference between those who maybe have a lot of time or a lot more time and can do more things more efficiently is they don't waste time thinking in areas that they don't need to think. Instead, they spend their time thinking on the real problems, right? Do we expand? Are we going to add another child to our family? Should we be buying a house or not? Do we go back to graduate school or not? What college should I be going into? What do I want to major in? Those are things that really require thinking, and they're a good use of your thinking. Do I put this shoe on my left foot or my right foot? Not a good use of thinking. And I use that one as an example because it's silly. You don't think about it anymore. But if you look at a really young child who's just learning how to put on his sneakers, they sometimes put the wrong sneakers on the wrong foot. You don't think about it anymore because you instinctively know there's an L or this little shape on it on the curve makes sure that it goes on the left foot and the other one goes on the right foot. That's it. There's no really convoluted science to it. It's pretty straightforward and simple. You need to go out there and think about what is the routine that I want to build? Where are the areas that I'm spending the most time? And how do I build a routine around those? How do I do the same thing consistently every single time to make sure it's there? Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's boring. That sucks. Maybe I want more variety. Well, I'll tell you what, there's ways to think about routine that go beyond just day to day, right? You could have the same routine every Monday. You could have the same routine for every first day of the month. You could have the same routine for every first day of the year, right? And so really what you're trying to do is create some semblance of routine somewhere, some structure, so you can reduce the amount of thinking that it takes for the things that don't really matter that much. Now, if you really care about which sneaker goes on which foot and you need to make sure it's precise every single time and you want to find the joy in doing it, you like the exploratory creative process, you want to analyze it up and down, you want to try the wrong one on the wrong foot for a while before you switch it to the other one, then by all means, go and do that. You probably missed the very first part of this video where I said, you want to really understand why it is that you want to save the time. And for me, it's always been about how I can make a bigger difference, how I can serve my community better, how can I become more available to my family. And so when I'm thinking about saving time, I'm thinking about saving time for those reasons. And yes, in the short term, it might mean that you're saving time so you can do more, right? If you're at work, if you can work faster, that means you can get more things done. Maybe you're going to ask your boss, your manager for more work, for more projects. So you can build up more experience. And over time, hopefully you'll get faster and then you'll become more reliable. And that same amount of work that you used to do will get done in a shorter amount of time. This reminds me of one of the classes I had at Cornell with our stats professor. And he came in, I think it was like the first or second week of class, and he said, guys, why do you think that Cornell grads are so sought after? And everyone sat there, no one really had a good answer, pretty quiet. And he said, it's because you all can produce high volume work at a high quality in a little bit of time. And everyone said, what? How does that make any sense? How do you even get there? He then asked us the question, how do you think you all get there? And again, crickets for a little while. And then he said, we do it by throwing at you from every single direction. I mean, you all are high achievers, you're really motivated. And so what happens at first is you get overwhelmed, right? Natural human feeling, you're doing more than you can. And that is actually part of the growth experience. Sometimes that feeling of overwhelm, it may not be overwhelmed, might be discomfort, right? But that's where the growth is happening. So he said, we throw shit at you, you get overwhelmed, your grades maybe aren't where you want them to be. And then what starts to happen is your motivation kicks in, your drive to achieve kicks in, and you start to figure out how to read faster, how to type faster. When you're going through the lecture, how to find the key important information that's in it. So you stop spending time doing things that maybe were taking you a lot longer to do. Maybe you know how to synthesize your paper now. Maybe you know how to create an effective outline faster. It's the same thing I'm sure you all recognize with reading, right? When you first started to read those really thin books with all those pictures, they were so hard to get through, right? They took so much time. But over time, today you can probably read a chapter book, right? You can get through an entire newspaper. You're reading so much faster than you were reading before. How did that happen? It's routine. You might not have been thinking about it as routine. Maybe you were thinking about it as practice, right? But it is actually routine. You just kept reading. And the more you read, the faster you were able to read, the faster you were able to understand, your comprehension improved, all of those things happen. And it's why now today, depending on what grade or age you're at, you're able to write so much more in a shorter amount of time than you were able to do before. It's the same concept throughout the rest of your life in every other area. So as you're thinking about it, remember, it's not just, hey, do I want to go and save time, but why do I want to save the time? And then when I figure out that I want to save the time, how do I get in a routine? now take a quick sip and talk about where this may be showing up, where else it may be showing up in your lives that you may not even have noticed. So school, it's been happening without you even knowing when teachers ask you to line up, right? If you were in a good school and they didn't waste a lot of time, there was a lineup procedure. When you went into your classroom, you were assigned a desk, right? So in your classes where you were assigned a desk, or there was at least protocol for where you would sit. You wouldn't walk into a room and stand there for 10 minutes trying to figure out where you were going to sit. But the first day of school, the first 2 days of school, that's happening a lot, right? And a lot of time is being wasted there. But then there's a routine, your school schedule, right? Where you're showing up every single period. There's a routine there. When you walk into the classroom and the teacher has a do now or an aim or an objective for you, they're already instructing you on where your attention should be focused. When you were in school taking notes, right? What'd you do? You didn't randomly think about how you were going to take notes. You took out a piece of paper, you took out a pencil, or you had a certain book for that subject. These are all areas where you had a routine. Gym class, right? You had a uniform. You went in, you changed into your uniform for gym, and there was probably a process that in the very beginning of the semester, the very beginning of the year, took a lot of time. Where's my locker? How do I wear the uniform? What am I going to do after I change? And then eventually, as time continued to progress and you did it more and more, you got faster and faster with it. So there's no shortcuts. The people who are doing a lot more as they get older aren't doing a lot more because they figured out some secret, they've cut corners. They're just able to do the same things that you're doing so much faster because they've practiced a lot more and they've created routines around them. They're not guessing anymore. They know what the most important part of the piece of reading is. They know how to decipher the main idea really quickly because they have experience and repetition doing it over and over and over again. So that's my secret that I'm willing to share with you all because I want to see you all be more efficient. I want to see you all be more successful. And at the core of that is being able to create more time for yourself so you can get more done in the 24 hours. And that more might just mean it's not just more work, it's more time with my family, it's more quality time with my loved ones, it's spending more time on my passions and hobbies. Maybe it's traveling, and I'm still making sure that everyone else in my life is happy because I'm giving them what they need. So it may seem boring. There might be elements that are mundane, but remember, you can switch it up, right? You can have a different gym routine on Mondays than you do on Tuesdays. But as long as you're keeping your Mondays consistent, it'll be easy to remember. You don't have to walk into the gym and randomly start thinking, what is it that I'm doing today? It's wasted time. So don't waste your time thinking about things that don't need thoughts, and instead spend your time and your thinking energy spent on the things that really do need thought. Create those structures, create those routines, and you'll be a lot more efficient. Now go out there and get after it.